Hello tankers and tankettes, welcome to a viewer replay, and this is actually from a former circling and regular viewer of the stream, Elliot, or as it's spelt, Elliot. You know, like E.T. I'm sure that's exactly why he picked that name, because he's such a fan of E.T. Anyway, this is the Czechoslovakian Tier 10, the TVP T 50/51, which is a bit of a mouthful, so I don't know what to call it, the T51, or would that just be horribly erroneous? I actually realised I don't think I've shown any replays of the Czechoslovakian tanks yet, so why not start at the top? Obviously there was a lot of interest when these came in because it's a tier 10 auto-loading medium, and when you compare it to the Batchat, there are some standout differences. It's got much better DPM, but it's got less pen, and it also has less burst potential, because even though the Batchat has a longer reload, it has, I think, 105mm gun? I think it's 105mm with 390 average damage per shot. This is a 100mm gun with 320 average damage per shot, and it's got 4 shells in that clip. So if you're running around and you're at half health or whatever and you meet a Batchat, that might be more deadly to you than one of these things in that kind of one-on-one engagement. But overall, in the sustained course of a battle, that DPM difference might very well add up. And it's actually kind of appropriate talking about them in comparison to each other, because there's 4 Batchats on this team, 2 per side. And the matchmaking is actually a little unusual. The only heavy tanks on either team are on Elliot's team, and it's a couple of tier 8 heavies who have horrendous matchmaking. In fact, they're replacing tier 9s. So the deck was kind of stacked against his team here, really. Both teams had 3 scouts and a tier 8 arty, but his team then just randomly had not just 3 but 4 extra tier 8s in fact. So this was matchmaking having a little funny. Other differences than the Batchat on this are, well, the gun's stats are a bit mixed. I think in terms of some stats it's better, in terms of some it's worse. It's got pretty good gun depression. It's a bit less mobile, but not by much, and it's also got better armour than the Batchat, but not so much as you'd want to rely on. It's not a Russian medium by any means. So all in all, it seems like a pretty good package. It doesn't have the DPM to match some of the Russian mediums either. Some of those have a base DPM of something like 3,000, just over. This has a base DPM of, I can't even remember. I did look it up. But it's nowhere close to that. But it's still better than the Batchat. So with that T5041 finished off, that takes him to just over 2100 damage, nearly 2200 damage, and rather than reload this clip, he decides he's going to poke out. One goes in the tracks of the pattern, but that makes firing into the side with his last shell that much easier. However, that's his first damage taken, and unfortunately, it was a high roll. That was nearly 450 damage on a gun that's, I think, 390 average. But I think that pattern, I mean, he's got this guy worried, at least. This pattern is being a little bit cagey. He's trying to back off. And he's also not angling particularly well. However, that's a T30 that just turned up, so Elliot really can't afford to sit in front of that gun. He does snapshot those, but 2 of them still go in. Unfortunately, they just lost that Carnarvon, so that's a little bit unfortunate. This matchmaking was just silly. Like, the enemy team, the only tier 8s even that the enemy team had were scouts. This team just had, I think it was just balancing the platoons, and this very unlucky tier 8 platoon got pulled in, but they've ended up, unfortunately, just being fodder for the enemy team, which is unsurprising, because this was a very tier 9 and tier 10 heavy match. And occasionally matchmaking does like to pull little funny jokes on you. So Elliot has another little poke. He's got to be careful. Enemy artillery is still alive, and now he's down to just over 900 hit points. The enemy tier 8 arty could easily kill him. Hell, the Jaegerus could easily kill him at this point. He could survive a single hit from the Batchat or the pattern, but yeah, you don't want to trade too much more health away. Now, the enemy team just lost one of their Batchats. That was actually a really nice exchange. That Batchat that's on this side, which is Mozart_WA, and we'll point him out on the score screens. He does pretty well in this match as well. He actually took 1 in the tracks and was able to fire off both of his shots and kill that enemy Batchat in return without losing a single point of health. So that was an absolutely ideal trade. He's still relatively healthy. Their Jaeger is also full health. Obviously, the Artie's full health. The other Bat Chat is also looking pretty good, but he's off all the way trying to guard the approach to the cap circle from the beaches. So he's a bit isolated. The Jaeger might be able to fire across and help, but as you can see there, Elliot doesn't have any lines of fire. Now, ideally what they want to do is clear up this area, then go back and defend and deal with the other tanks. So if they can take out the T-30 and the Patton, that'd be fantastic. And actually, Mozart WA has powered down the flank and spotted artillery. If he can get down there and spot, he can maybe fire up at, if there's still stuff on the D-line, he can fire up there maybe, or he could maybe get around behind the enemy cap, or even go to the enemy cap. However, as there's still one enemy Bat Chat left alive, he's probably not going to want to cap. So he spotted that Artie. Elliot was able to take him out. That's really nice. That's a major threat on the enemy side gone. The Jaeger's come down to this middle dip, these fields here, and it looks like he's going to go to the T-30. So Elliot's powering across to join him, and if this Jaeger takes the hit, which he has the hit points to do, the T-30 looks pretty isolated. We can also see one of the Jaegers is actually back at the enemy base, so that's one of them where we know where he is. Elliot fires two on the move. They go in the ground, stops to aim the final two, which is probably, that was probably a really good idea. Takes out the T-30. So the Jaeger taking that hit was, that was some good team play actually. If you're at this kind of stage of a game, if you've got the hit points and you've got lower health, well, especially if it's an autoloader coming in and you can take the hit and they can finish off whatever it is, then that's ideal. Now Elliot's now got shots on this Bat Chat and he's just actually auto-aiming, and that actually worked because the Bat Chat was mostly stationary, although one of them did bounce. Auto-aim, I think it's got a place even in higher tiers, especially if you're peeking over a crest and you auto-aim on a tank and just once your gun gets down low enough you fire, but that was a little bit risky using it in that kind of situation. However, maybe you just wanted to center the reticle on the Bat Chat, because that thing doesn't really have any side armor. Patton pushes round, Elliot's able to clip him, although he takes another hit in return. Also, he's lost his driver, but that's fine, he's still got his med kit, so brings that guy back. That now just leaves, having equalised it, having brought it back in their team's favour, just the Jagdpanzer E100s. Now he's got a choice here, there's one in the north, one in the south. He chooses to go help out the Bat Chat in the north, who, in theory, can still take a hit. The Jaeger could roll high and kill him, but, well, it's all in the hands of RNG. And he does take the hit, and he survives. That means he's now free to just clip this guy. So, as it turned out, this was the wrong call, but only in retrospect. If the Jaeger had one-shotted the Bat Chat, Elliot could have gone and finished him off, and then he would have needed to come back to defend because, unfortunately, their Jaeger got taken out by the enemy one. So this is the last enemy now. He can either play it ultra safe, spot for artillery, but I don't think he's going to do that. I think he wants this last bit of damage. He's actually got some heat shells loaded now, so whatever the angle, hopefully the heat can deal with it. He peeks, the Jaeger snapshots, and now this is it. Elliot's got him. Now, he does make this guy a bit mad with his heat clip, but honestly, I mean, I don't necessarily think it was the wrong thing to do. I mean, that's just a personal choice at that stage. But he does get him, he does get the kill, and that results in him getting a Top Gun and a High Caliber medal, so that was pretty nice. Now, we're going to get to see in a second that Bat Chat I mentioned, Mozart WA. I'm guessing, actually, that just occurred to me, it probably stands for Wolfgang Amadeus, doesn't it? Somebody who's a bit of a classical musical fan. Classical musical, you know what I mean, classical music, there we go. Oh, good Lord, brain. Anyway, yeah, there we go. He did, actually, almost as much damage. They were 6 apart in damage. They did almost as much as each other. But Elliot was way out ahead on experience, and I'm not quite sure why. Probably from the kills, actually. Kills do give you XP. Damage counts more towards XP and credits, but kills will still give you some. But all the same, that was a very nice result, and a very nice comeback, because it looked pretty dicey in that middle section of the battle, but it was an unusual battle in that there were so many mediums, and despite them being disadvantaged quite heavily by Matchmaker, them having 4 regular tier 8 heavy tanks, regular tier 8s rather, 3 of which were heavies, the enemy team having none, the enemy team having tier 9s, it actually was, they were still able to do enough. They were able to bring it back, even though it was not a favourable starting position. And Elliot and that bat chat between them did a really nice job in making that a pretty convincing win, albeit quite a close one. So the TVP, the tier 10, it seems pretty good. If you've any interest in mediums, I think there's a couple of rough spots on the check line. I know there have been various people, I think Fosh, for instance, has done an overview, and I'm sure other people like QB have, and Circonsum has certainly rendered an opinion on stream at some point. But yeah, overall, if you're kind of interested in going through to the high tiers do seem worth it from what I've heard. So yeah, hopefully this shows off some of what they can do. So if you've enjoyed this replay, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.